the helicam up over Michigan International here at that continuing battle between DeFerrin and Herta. Getting to be that time of the season that there is not only the silly season with regard to drivers, and with Gil DeFerrin, at least at the moment, out of a ride for next year. That should start all the maneuvering for real, and very shortly we should hear about that. Also a lot of talk about the schedule. Let's talk about where IndyCar will be going in the future. Good indication in Japan. I even know a guy in China says he would like to bring an IndyCar race to China. DeFerrin reels him in. Ribeiro still the leader. Pruitt is still second. Hunter Jr. third. Here comes DeFerrin, trying for fifth. And there's fifth place. We go back up to the front of the field. Andre Ribeiro on the left of the screen leads it. And Scott Pruitt. That interval is closing too.
Yeah, Scott's car looks like it's working awful well. I don't think Ribeiro can be too conservative right now. He wants to stretch that out a little bit.
67 laps to go. We're now getting down to that final 100 miles where you step the pace up and you go racing for serious. So I think they've been racing seriously the entire day. Gary Gerould?
Quick word from Scott Pruitt. He is reporting a very slight push, but prior to that last round of pit stops, he declined any change in the wing configuration. So you know he's got to be happy as he continues to stalk. And it looks like as he flashes by us that he's closed right in within a car length or so of Ribeiro.
Oh, not just closed in. He tried to get a nose under him, but that try cost him. He lost momentum, had to go high, and has now fallen back. 5 different drivers have scored their first career win in the Michigan 500. Take a look at the top 5 right now. Got it. At least Mauricio Guzman has a chance of doing that. At one time, we had 3 guys who had never scored a win up in the top 5. And the battle has been right here at the front of the field throughout the day. See Al Unser Jr. noted there in 3rd place, of course. That's a key position to take over the lead in the championship fight. And doing that despite not having won yet this year. Yet, we're at Michigan. Al can win here easily. 186 laps are complete. There is your order. But they're very tight at the front. We'll be right back. Gil DeFerrin is in trouble. It's not the aerodynamic trouble. It's something entirely different now. He's suddenly slowed, Danny.
Did you see it wiggling going down that straightaway? The car was walking back there at the back. I hope he didn't have some damage from that tire. Might have hit that left rear when it came in and took that wing off. But he had something. Maybe it's just a puncture.
So Gil DeFerrin drops off of the pace and heads for the pits.
It could be another one of those wheel bearings. We've seen 2 of those so far today.
Well, that right rear gets such tremendous loading, and that's why the wheel bearings tend to be a problem there as DeFerrin comes into the Jim Hall Racing pits. See if we can tell by the crew. Right now, they just go routinely, but look at the smoke. You're right.
A puff of smoke, that right rear tire.
Boy, you were on top of that one.
All the load.
Right on top of that one. They're going to go to work on it, though. Can you imagine how hot it is down there? Literally hundreds of degrees off the calipers. Back in the field, Raul Boesel, Christian Fittipaldi. They have been battling back and forth for 8.
They've been swapping places back and forth. They're really going at it.
Takes 8th back. Boesel's going to come right back at him.
Here comes Boesel. 2 fellow Brazilians. Look, he's trying to get around the outside. And I think he does it. He's in front of him again.
They've been going back and forth like that for several laps now. Now, what about DeFerrin? Jackaroo?
Well, Danny Sullivan knows what he's talking about. It was a wheel bearing. They are going to attempt to change it much the same way as we had the rear hub carrier being changed on, I'm out of breath because we ran all the way down here, earlier on Greg Moore's car. But right now, this is an indication of just how important points are. The Ferrin stays in the car. It's going to be, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before they can change this wheel bearing and get it back out. And remember, guys, it's about 400 degrees when you're trying to grab those pieces of metal.
And they do have some special gloves to try and help it, but it only helps so much. Look at this fight. Boesel, Fittipaldi keep right at it. And I would guess that they, too, will probably consider a change of the hub carrier, not trying to replace the bearing.
No, they'll do the hub carrier. They'll have a complete assembly there with the bearing in it. Interesting, I think all 3 of those cars have been Reynards.
Interesting. Jackaroo?
That's exactly what they've done. One of the great things about these crews, in the back of their pit area, they have all of the replacement parts already preset. It's impossible to change a wheel bearing in that amount of time. Easier to change the entire hub. They've taken the faulty hub off, and now they're beginning the process of putting the new hub on Gil de Ferrin's car.
Well, Christian Fittipaldi has made the better of this battle for 8th place for the moment. Further update now, though, on Emerson Fittipaldi.
And once again with Dr. Steve Olva, you have an update now on Emerson?
Yeah, I do, Gary. He has a fracture of the 7th cervical vertebrae, and he also has a partial collapse of the left lung. Neither of these are life-threatening injuries. He is moving all of his extremities, which is good. He's being transferred now from Foot Hospital in Jackson to the Spinal Cord Center in Ann Arbor, St. Joseph's Hospital. But as I said, I want to make known that he is moving everything, but he does have a fracture of the 7th cervical vertebra.
Now, is this at all similar or dissimilar to the injury that Paul Tracy suffered yesterday?
It's similar in that it's a neck fracture, but this is more serious because it involves the entire vertebra. But as of now, there's no impingement on the spinal cord, but it is something that's going to need to be fixed.
Now, any indication how has this made this impact his driving season?
Well, it's going to impact the season, and I really can't say now because we have not seen the x-rays, but Dr. Trammell and I will be going to the hospital after the event, and after we see the x-rays, we'll be able to determine more about that at that time.
Thanks again, Steve.
Thanks, Gary.
Well, let's go up with Stefan Johansson, who's having a great run in 7th place, maybe the best run of the season for him with the Alumax car. So as a result, we have 2 drivers, Emerson Fittipaldi and Paul Tracy. Both of their cars are prepared in Reading, Pennsylvania at the Penske organization, but that are possibly in doubt, not just for the rest of the next race, but the rest of the season.
Well, that's right.
I don't want to be alarming there, but they both have some injuries that could keep them out of a car for a while. You know Emerson pretty well. Is he getting close to retirement?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, he's one of those special people. He's still having a go, and he's in there, and he's doing a great job, and he's physically very fit. He really takes care of himself. He watches his diet. He has somebody who cooks for him. If he can come back, he will. But as I can attest, the older you get, your body doesn't respond quite the way it will to a 20-year-old.
Stefan Johansson down inside of Raul Boesel. Of course, that's not the battle for position. Stefan Johansson's target is actually Mark Blundell, who is ahead a bit on the circuit. 60 now, 50 to go, 50 to go. We just crossed over the 200 lap. And let's go back up to the front. Ribeiro is leading by 2.1 seconds over Scott Pruitt. Mauricio Guzman not far behind Pruitt. Then Unser Jr., then Brian Herta. That's your top 5. Remember, Ribeiro performed so well on the oval at Rio. An oval that as we left there, they were talking about perhaps trying to lengthen that circuit for next year, take it up to maybe 500 kilometers. Be an interesting distance. Ran at 400 this last year. By the way, Al Arciero and Cal Wells both were here. Their Jeff Krosnoff at Toronto. And they're not racing here this weekend out of respect to Jeff, but they do anticipate being back, running just as soon as they can. They have not yet indicated who might be in the car. So Andrew Ribeiro by about 3 seconds over Scott Pruitt as we move to the closing laps, the Michigan 500. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Saturday on a special edition of ABC's Wide World of Sports, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway welcomes the stars of stock car racing. Defending champion Dale Earnhardt battles NASCAR's finest at the Brickyard 400. And then experience auto racing a whole new way. History is made as 12 identical Firebirds run under the lights at Charlotte in the International Race of Champions. The action begins at 1 Eastern and Pacific here on ABC Sports. So nothing has changed since we've left you, but Jill DeFerrin finally is able to pull it out, but then almost immediately, is this back in? Yes, it is. Jill DeFerrin, so they did get the upright changed, but apparently he's found something he didn't like at the front of the field. Andrew Ribeiro is not under challenge right now, but Scott Pruitt is, as Mauricio Gugelmin is closing on Scott Pruitt for second place. Now that's Pruitt, who is moving down to the inside of the track, and the yellow helmet just behind him going high around Robbie Gordon. That's Mauricio Gugelmin. Look at the moisture building up here, Danny. That's nothing significant. That's just blowback from the engine, isn't it?
I would think so. We've got no moisture in the air. It could just be a little bit of that coming out. But what I'd like to make up is, if that's Mauricio Gugelmin, what happened to Little Al? He was in third in front of Mauricio. I looked out the window, and he's dropped a significant way back. And Mauricio's really turned the pace up.
So the leader of the race, we'll check on that, trying to get the order lined up here for you. Mauricio Gugelmin comes out behind Scott Pruitt, and here comes the leader, Ribeiro in.
And Paul, this should be his final stop of the afternoon. Take on a full tank of fuel, make a change on the tires. Let's watch and just listen. You can hear him trying to get the revs up. Waiting for the fuel. 17.8 seconds, and he's away. 17 seconds flat.
So Ribeiro in and out of the pits, this time under the green flag. Mauricio Gugelmin picks up the lead. Here comes Scott Pruitt in. He was second place. Al Unser Jr. stopped as well. You saw him rolling. Gary?
2 sensational stops under 11 seconds for the Patrick team earlier. Keep in mind now, though, as this fuel load in the tank, it takes longer to get through with gravity, so this won't be as quick. We've got him at 13.5. It's very smooth.
Scott Pruitt, another nice spot for Patrick Racing. So now under green flag in the closing laps of the Michigan 500. The leaders begin their stops. Little Al.
Well, I saw him come in and make his stop, and I observed and put some binoculars to my eyes, looked down there, and I didn't see him make a change. I didn't see him do something to the car, so he must be happy with it. I don't know why he took by.
Look at Ribeiro as he comes flying around Pruitt. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Here is Gugelmin, who had assumed the lead of the race, coming in for his stop. 213 flaps, so this stop will carry everybody to the end. Going to change all 4. They are not sticker tires. They're tires that they know something about. They're well marked up. So they've run them in here in practice. And Gugelmin is underway and pulls the visor down, and he heads back into the fight. And Mark Blundell, who had picked up the lead behind Gugelmin, missed his pit.